Hi, hello and welcome to my video. Today I'll be discussing about player agency and interactivity in video games. The same topic will be covered in Malayalam in tomorrow's video. Before we move on to the topic, imagine that this world around you is a game world created by the godlike figure of a TTRPG, that is tabletop role playing games, called the Dungeon Master. A and B are two players. Player A chooses to play the role of a software engineer working in a multinational company and hailing from the city of Kochi in Kerala. Player B chooses to play the role of a gym trainer who immigrated from China and settled in Canada. Both players A and B designed their backstories, which they disclosed only to the dungeon master. Now, please note here that technically there can be many number of players in a TTRPG. The dungeon master starts the game by narrating a situation where the character of player A, who is currently placed in Canada by his company on a project, is told by his house owner that he has decided to raise the rent. Now, player A responds by trying to look for a roommate who can share his rent. The game continues like that. Now, let's get back to the topic. First, let's look into the term interactivity. In general, the term means involvement between two agents, human or otherwise, through technical means of communication. Now, in our case, video games constitute the technical means. So, in short, in this context, it is the exchange of actions, information, and experiences between players within a gaming environment. There can be direct as well as indirect interactions. The various methods of interactions possible through a video game are in-game communication, multiplayer gameplay, social features, and community engagement. In-game communication and multiplayer gameplay are in MMORPGs, that is, massively multiplayer online role-playing games. In-game communication is generally made possible through the chat options inside a game. There may be options for global or a small community-based chats. Also, in MMORPG, they can see and interact directly between their avatars or characters inside the game world. Social features and community engagement is possible via forums and online discussions or help groups inside as well as outside the game. Now, examples of types of interactive games are given here. In a zero-sum game, which is competitive in nature, a player wins at the cost of another player's loss. Race to the finish games are examples. In team games, though a team wins at the cost of another team's loss, a group of players interact and form a team that acts as one unit. In cooperative games, players cooperate and team up against the software. Now, in TTRPGs, there is a similar version of it where players team up against the dungeon master who will be playing the antagonist in the narrative. Now, games that have multiplayer raids and dungeon crawls are examples for these. Now, let's move on to agency. In general, agency is the degree of freedom. Player agency is the degree of freedom and control a player has to shape their experience and impact the game world. Now, character agency is a character's ability for being proactive and not just reacting to events but shaping them. Say, for example, in a TTRPG, that is tabletop role playing games, depending on the game world designed by the dungeon master, a player can choose the type of gameplay and shade of character from a variety of them. That is player agency. In the game we discussed in the beginning, the player A choosing to be a software engineer from Kochi and player B choosing to be a gym trainer from China are examples for player agency. Now, as the game progresses, the character's actions and decisions can direct the flow of the story, indicating a high character agency. In the game that we discussed in the beginning, the character of player A, that is the engineer, choosing to look for a roommate when the rent increased is an example for character agency. There are similar features in many MMORPGs as well as other narrative driven video games. However, let me emphasize that in a truly immersive gameplay, the character agency is expected to be directed by the backstory, which is created by the player and is a part of player agency. To have a better understanding of this, you can watch single session TTRPGs, many of which are easily available in YouTube. With that, I'm winding up today's topic. Feel free to leave comments and like my video if you found it helpful. Subscribe and click on the bell icon for more of my videos. Thank you.